Rayanyag ti Lugosor, programa ngagserbi kamang kenrang tayo iti gobyerno probinsyal. Lalo na, iti beneg iti sanggo niyang panlalawigan ti probinsya ng Lugosor. Mangted tinanay ng informasyon kadagiti programa, proyektos, tulong ken mga sister kadagiti ang problema nga OFW ang kalugaran tayo. Rayanyag ti Lugosor. Tinagaget, Produktibo Presiding Officer, the busy Governor of the Province of Ilocos Ryan Luis Singson, our main anchor, Ken Lito Javier, our co-anchor. Ryan Nyag ti Ilocos at tuyen nagsubli ngagserbi kada kayo, agsipod tada kayo ti inspirasyon mi. Ryan Nyag ti Ilocos, da kayo ti inspirasyon mi.
Hello, good morning, 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 good morning. Ilocos yan and welcome to Ranyag ti Ilocos. Da kayo apo, ti inspirasyon mi. Kumusta kayo amin apo? Ng awan itilabas na, Mayo, niya tata, May 8. May 8 tata apo niya. Lunes, Happy Fiesta, Bayubay Sur, San Vicente. Ilocos Sur, itayan na parang Jeff Rabang, Happy Fiesta. Itayan niya po Kapitan Aldous, happy Fiesta. Kada kayo dita apong awan iti labas na. Okay, usong-uso, piyestang-piyesta ngayon. Alakit pleasant morning to one and all. Mga kaibigan, sapay-sapay lang kumata. Okay kayo apo. Kumusta kayo dita pagilian ti Inglaterra? Kang ronanan na po dita London, papagayam. Timugawan ni Prince Charles sakas Ari iti London kalpasan iti panang yallatiw da apo iti corona manipod ti amana nga ni Prince William. Gagayem ka na po kay diyan. Kita nyo man niya ni King Charles ket iso iti asawa day di Diyos talwad na nga Princess Diana nga sikat nga singer, artista, naganan, tawag mo pedagyen, charity worker, mga kaibigan, sureta po. So, timugawan, kas Ari, amuy mo dita London, ba na nga nasyon da ito'y, kumbaga, dagi old tradition da po, nga dapel lang iti Ari kada reyna, kada prinsipe, dagiti nagkauna, ngam adamot lang nga po iti makuna nga gobyerno da monarchy. Adamot iti prime minister da papagayam. Kasya po niya. Kumusta kaya amin na po dita London? Dagiti amin na po nga classmate ko dita, dagiti gagayem ko nga nurses dita London, frontliners papagayam nga kakaasida po nga mabugbogbog nga matawtawagan idi, dagiti problema tayo dita. Pareng Arayal Ilustre, kumusta ka dita? Pareng Larry Pardo, kumusta ka dita? No pa dagiti dita London. Nga friend ko, classmate ko, adu kay amin dita po niya, hangkay masagkesa nga may naganaran, importante, okay na okay kayo dita, safe na safe kayo. Ken napintas matan iti trabaho yo, kumbaga nagsubli matan apo iti trabaho yo. During pandemic time, adati duwa nga friend ko dita nga pimusay, classmate ko ti elementarya, ken duwa nga batch ko apo iti college, nurse na dijay. Chief nurse na pa'y papagayam, daksanggas at apotan, natamaan da ti COVID, pimusay da. So, dito ti may saka na kita'y haantay malipatan. No, speaking of dita London, mga kaibigan. Napintas apo iti trabaho dita London, nanginat ti sweldo, papagayam, dagiti nurse ita, sweldo na ti 120,000 up to 200,000 a month, pero nanginat ti tax di London. Kung nada nga ron, Ultimo Television, mataksan. So, kumusta kaya amin dito po one of the significant events, mga kaibigan, Sunday tayo apo, hindi kalman data, di rabida mo, di jay, nung jagriraw, apo kailian niya, London, mga kaibigan. Alakit, hopefully, okay amin na po nga transaksyon sumata dita, ken amok nga do pa apo ti kasapulan nyo mo dita London, nga Pilipino nga ag-trabaho. Dito yung pagilian tayo Pilipinas sa po kailian, kumusta kayo matita Cambodia po, if you are speaking Cambodia, so ito yung bagbaga kiti nga pelikula nga Killing Fields, nabit pa ya po nga si Mardeng Met iti Civil War dita because of the Phnom Penh panagturay niya, tinompen, during the power of Nompen, mga kaibigan, nagado tinatay, civil war, dita parte na puti, Cambodia. Now, dita ti pakaramidan na po dito yung SEA Games, mga kaibigan. So, congratulations and keep it up. Bring the bacon. Kung natin nga po kadagiti Pilipino SEA Games sa players po natin. Lalo na ti banag po ti boxing. Papagayam, moyo dita po, dita tayo iti pakakitan dito gusto nga ken pigsa, dito nga buboksingero tayo. Then, the United States of America, dito yung official visit ni Presidente BBM, very successful. Talagang pairotenda ka no pa tinilangan-langan ti United States. Kumbaga, tayo na nga ro din, may takida ya ti US. Ni Papang na di Presidente, no awan iti base militar, dito yung pagiliante nga Pilipinas, nasakop na tayo kumamot ti komunista. Papagayam, because of that US bases in Clark, Sovic, and in Sambuanga, haanda tayo apo nga nasarnak iti komunista. So now, kadagito nga tiyempo ken panawan, banding moments mga kaibigan. So may sa kadagiti pagkonsentratan da ket dito West Philippine Sea. So nga expectarin tayo apo ti adupay nga tulong financial, war support, war ko nakata dagiti armas and training ngumay dito pagiliante nga Pilipinas ket den apo ti United States government. Mga kaibigan. Kasi nakipagpulong ni BBM yung Pentagon. Kung Pentagon kumbaga, paano mo maano yung Pentagon, mga kaibigan? Apeng pangapangka makimiting yung Pentagon, no? Awan na po na kita basta programa. Okay? Ken dito yung lokalidad tayo po, alakit Lunes po ngayon, may pasok po, mga kaibigan, kaya lang nang init-init naman, so nga amin na kita, kaya siyempre parte po itintay matan na panaginandingay. So nga, anad lang nga po, kita nyo ti salon na tumunggal ba isa, mga kaibigan, kanito yung gundaway, kata talagang sobra ti pudot, sobra ti dagaang na. Okay. Sige po. Alakit, kas na ko hanggang nga baybayagin na po, tamo yung Monday ngayon, marami po tayong trabaho. Danto po, nagitay nakbatan ni Pabuya kada kayo, mga kaibigan, nga nagitay trabaho mo ti Presidente, ken ure pa mati ti probinsya tayo nga Ilocos Apo. So nga, stay tuned, stay on your TV, Iloco Heritage sa channel and Iloco Heritage sa channel Facebook live po tayo. Programa Rayanyag ti Lungsur, babaan ti Vice Gobernador tayo ti probinsya ng Ilocos, Vice Governor Ryan Singson, ken dito gayem ken kapsatyo Kapidyo Lito Javier. Agsublinak to apo kalpasan ti palagip.
As the Heritage Province of the North reopens to tourists, it launches the all-new Tour Ilocos Sur app. A quick guide to Ilocos Sur at your fingertips. Find the best tourist spots. Hotels. Bars and restaurants. And authentic Ilocos Sur products and food. Be updated on upcoming events, plus get notified on the important announcements and updates. Available for global download on Android and iOS. The Tour Ilocos Sur app. Historical becomes digital.
Kaya't mo akanayon na nakakondisyon ti motor mo, saan tayo abaybayan ngagdadael? Sigude na patarimaan, tadda tinalaing ken anos a mekaniko, ken pagkagatangan ti high-end ken genuine a piyesa ti motorsiklo. King Rabe Motorcycle Parts Enterprises. Anyaman na piyesa ken brand ti motorsiklo kasapulan at daamin dita King Rabe Motorcycle Parts Enterprises. Saan kan ngagpaspasarak, mapankan di sigurado. Adupay di pagpilyan tinadumaduma a brand apilid, motor oil ken kumpleto apang setup. Pasyaren ti Pestuda sa Jikabarwan, Santa Catalina, Ilocos Sur. At dabay branch na dita igid ti National Highway, Sunto, Bantay, Ilocos Sur, ken Sadyay, Dagupan City. Ride safety. Siguradwen anapintas ti kondisyon dagiti motorsiklo. Adda ti mapagtalkaan a King Rabe Motorcycle Parts Enterprises. Ken no kasapulan piloga na pagpasya ken adday ti darayan nyo nga okasyon. Kastapay no da sabaten nyo akaming ti pamilyayo a balikbayan at danda iti ban amarentaan. Kontakin nyo ti numero 0917-188-7507. Ukwa ken imatmatonan da Bonnie ken Lynn Rabe. King Rabe Motorcycle Parts Enterprises.
Only foods ba ang hanap mo? Kaya't mo tek mukbang ng basit ti budget. Kapangkan sa J Books Eat Food Hub. Masarakan ti igit ti National Highway Barangay Kabarwan, Bantay, Ilocos Sur. Giseserve dati only wings, rice, lechon kawale, sisig kanda dumapay a pagpilya. In kayon ti Books Eat Food Hub. Matmatunan dito ni Miss Eileen Tolentino ken ni Miss Luenalu Manlies. And the food, ngem suwak sa bulsa. Anya pa ito orayam, mapankan ti Books Eat Food Hub. Books Eat Food Hub, sigurado mabsog ta buksit mo. Nagbebero kay matinaimas nga pulutan, wano dagiti maprito amakmakan. Sarakam lang ti Choylin Fried Station. Masarakan din na dumaduma pwesto ti probinsya ng Ilocos Sur, at dita syudad ti Vigan, Iliti Santo Domingo, Kabugaw, Sinait, Narvacan, ken Canton City. At dapat pwesto dita Abra, ken pati Batak, ken Lawag City, Ilocos Norte. At doon dagiti mabili mo pagpilian. At dati fried chicken, crispy pata, fried itik, lechon kawali, tokwat baboy, ken pork sisig. Choylin Fried Station, fried to perfection. No kaya't mumati only rice ken only soup all you can, 3 mantas grill house lang sapat na. Ado dagiti pagbilya mga combo meals nga sigurado aswak ti budget mo. Masarakan ti 3 mantas grill house sa Bayubay Sur, San Vicente, Ilocos Sur. What are you waiting for? Come and visit 3 mantas grill house today. Kung mahilig ka mat dagiti matuno makmakan, na tuno grill house lang ang iyong kailangan. Dahil offering chicken inasal, pork barbecue, chicken barbecue, only rice pork inasal, ken only chicken wings. Masarakan tinatuno grill house sa San Jose, Narvacan, Ilocos Sur. Anya pa ito rorayang, pasyari mo ang dagito nga panganan, na imas telbiag nunananam timakan.
Problema yu kadi iti panangalat ti student driving permit, renewal iti lisensya ngagmaneho, ken panang-upgrade iti restriction code dagiti lisensyayo. Solbaren dagiti nga problema yo iti RX Driving School. Ti RX Driving School ket accredited iti LTO ng eskwelaan amang ipaay kadagiti sumaganad. TDC wenno theoretical driving course. Kasapulan daytoy kadagiti mangalat ti student permit. PDC wenno practical driving course paramat kadagiti mangala iti non-prop wenno professional driver's license. Upgrading iti restriction code paramat kadagiti mangnayon iti mabalinda a manehuen ken ti special driving course paramat kadagiti kayat nga tagsursuro agmaneho ti motorsiklo, tricycle, 4 wheels, manual or automatic ken dumapay. Naanos ken nalaing dagiti driving instructors da nga accredited iti LTO. Dito'y 2nd District, masarakan ti RX Driving School iti National Highway, Barangay Tablak, Canton City, abay iti Sacred Heart Medical Laboratory. Dito'y mat 1st District, masarakan ti RX Driving School abay mismo, iti LTO, dita poblasyon is San Ildefonso, Ilocos Sur. Ken dita probinsya ti Ilocos Norte, masarakan ti RX Driving School iti along the National Highway, Barangay Calagit, Batak City, sango ti Ilocandia Cultural Center ken Mariano Marcos Memorial Hospital. Asideg iti mismong LTO. No lisensya ti panagmaneho, ken nasaya ta pagsusuruan ngagmaneho, RX Driving School iti papanan. Para tadadong informasyon, tumawag uno ag-text kayo iti 0917-578-3132 and 0917-811-0581. Duty 1st District San Ildefonso, 0917-306-3735. Itamot 2nd District, Candon City, 0917-120-1745. Ken Ditabatak City, 0917-329-0591. RX Driving School.
No serbisyo analaka nga catering ti Masapulyo, adda iti Caril's Garden Catering Services ang masarakan di Mabini Street, Barangay Rizal, Kabugaw, Ilocos Sur. Adu pa iti agkakaimas nga makan ti inkay pagpilian. Ken saan lang kadayta na ornos ti serbisyo da, napintas iti set up da. Ken saan yon a problema no kasapulan nyo iti venue. Oray anyaman nga okasyon ket mabaling nga rambakan kas iti kasar, birthday, anniversary, reunions, meeting, ken dumapay. Caril's Garden and Catering Services ti kapintasan ken kalakaan. Nadaras pa'y akasarita ti akin bagi ani Sir Carlito ken Maricar Asena. Wenno kontaken iti numero a 0917-799-1273. Wenno 0917-799-5110. Caril's Garden and Catering Services. Umay kayon!
Nueva Segovia Consortium of Cooperatives. Ti kooperatiba ano bayagin nga nagseserbi karang ti Ilocano iti amyanan a Luzon. Ti kooperatiba ang manipapaay ti serbisyo, benepisyo, ken manisakit karang ti empleyado ken miyembro na. Ti Nueva Segovia Consortium of Cooperatives wano NSCC ket adon tinatulungan na. Babayin met iti namayat alangin-langin ken kooperasyon dagiti miyembro ken mangimatmaton. Adon tinaturoasan ti kooperatiba. Adupay dagiti naynayon ang kasdek akas ti NSCC Farm, Chicharon Processing Facility, Macro Laboratory, kastameten ti NSCC Plaza ken NSCC Business Center. Iso kanya pelang ter orayem makikapengkan iti kadakilan a kooperatiba iti probinsya. Ti Nueva Segovia Consortium of Cooperatives suman na NSCC. Imatmatunan na daytoy ni Dr. Divina Kenny.
and gentlemen, taking the reviewing stand is the reviewing official for today's ceremony, His Excellency Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr., President of the Republic of the Philippines, accompanied by the host, the Honorable Lloyd J. Austin III, 28th Secretary of Defense. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain in place as honors are rendered. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain in place for the national anthems of the Republic of the Philippines and the United States.
United Health Group at the start of this year. Klein and I run our global operations and I work with GlaxoSmithKline and United Health Group. So I'm learning.
We have the potential of being a hyperscaler destination. When we say hyperscaler, it means the cloud providers would be able to locate in the Philippines. And once that happens, then many of the data centers will be needed in order to do that, which would increase our value to the IT BPM sector, because now more of their businesses can rely on good internet and communication infrastructure to connect to the United States, where most of the customers are there. There was some talk that almost about 40% of outsourced payroll, I think, or in the United States are actually done in the Philippines. So this is a substantial number, and we need to increase our capacity in order to handle many of the business process outsourcing. Of course, when we say BPM, it does not necessarily mean only voice. No? We have healthcare, we have software development, animation, graphics, and so on. So we need to build up those talents and those capacity.
Welcome to our regular press briefing, Washington. We have DMW Secretary Susan Oakley. Ma'am, good afternoon. You have opening statement po. Please go ahead.
We're now open. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for the invitation. Yun lang.
Okay, guys, questions? Ace Romero from Philippine Star.
Secretary, you were mentioning a while ago about the OFW from Sudan.
Yes.
They spoke with the president. Tama po?
Hindi. Una, siguro, number one, even while we were in Cairo, in Aswan, assisting yung mga nagko-cross over from Sudan into the Egyptian border, the president was in touch with us, with the DMW and also with the DFA, asking for updates. And yesterday, before the meet and greet with the US-based employers, he once again asked about our workers coming home from Sudan. So basically, I think around 70, more than 70 have already left. Teka lang I'll read it na lang para hindi ako magkamali. Hanapin ko pa. Yeah. Nagland na sa Riyadh ang 77 workers. Ito yung out of the 340 na batch. and then they will be assisted by the Migrant Workers Office in Riyadh until they board for Manila. So ito yung isang flight na via Riyadh. There's another flight tomorrow bearing 83 OFWs. So nagland na today yung commercial plane with 77 OFWs, and then tomorrow another 83 OFWs for the 4 p.m. flight to Manila via Riyadh. We are also engaged in talks with Philippine Airlines. Apparently, the Philippine Airlines has a partnership with Egypt Air. So we are still exploring whether for the remainder of the OFWs due for repatriation, if we can just engage PAL and Egypt Air for a chartered flight via Dubai naman. All OFWs have received $200 care of the DMW while they are in Egypt, and then livelihood package financial assistance of initially 50,000, and then through OWA regional offices. Yung initial na 50,000 will be coming from the DMW as direct aid to the worker. Another 50,000 will be given by OWA to the families of the workers. So hopefully with the 100,000 humanitarian assistance, these workers will be able to start afresh. When we were meeting with them sa Cairo and also doon sa Abu Simbel as one, the issues they have raised were one, yung na-issue ng travel documents. They were asking if they would also be able to apply for new passports. And of course, the answer is yes through the DFA. Second, yung financial assistance, and we assured them that they will be receiving financial assistance once they come home. Third would be jobs. And yun ang inaayos natin ngayon. Saudi Arabia is very much interested also in looking at the profiles of the workers. In fact, this will also be one of the topics that we will be discussing. Undersecretary P.Y. Kaunan and Undersecretary Bernard Olalia will be going to Saudi Arabia as my advance party, as my advance team this month. Kailan ba ang alis nyo, P.Y.? May 17, because our talks with the Ministry of Human Resource and Social Development will be on May 24. To sum up, the President is very much concerned and is always updated on the results of our repatriation efforts. Number two, there are employers in the U.S. and also in the cruise ship industry and in Saudi Arabia that are very much interested and would like to see the profiles of our workers from Sudan. And number three, livelihood assistance is in place to provide them with a fresh start in life.
Okay. Follow-up, Ace.
Secretary, kailan po ba matatapos yung evacuation po ba tapos na? O meron pa tayong in-evacuate as we speak? And kailan po matatapos yung pagpapauwi ng mga Filipinos paghatid sa kanila sa Pilipinas?
Yeah, the good news is that I think nasa 600 mark na tayo, no? And maybe even more. Kasi yung iba doon naman dumaan sa Port of Sudan, crossing over to Jeddah. May iba na nakasakay sa Greek airline. So, iba-ibang exit routes, no? I heard meron din na naglanding sa Jordan. When I was there, ang sabi ni Ambassador Tago sa akin was that, or hindi pala si Ambassador Tago, it was the embassy staff sa Cairo who told me na nasa 777 initially yung nagre-request ng help or nag-reach out sa Philippine Embassy. So, may mga naiwan pa. I think the best source, kung ilan sila, nasaan sila, and ano plano nila, would still be the DFA. Yes.
Okay. Marlon Ramos from Philippine Daily Inquirer.
Hi, Secretary po.
Yeah.
May yung mga workers that are, who are coming from Sudan, mga ilan gaano sila karami yung nag-express ng interest na magtrabaho dun sa mga US companies na nabanggit ninyo?
Ngayon kasi papauwi pa lang yung bulk. Dun sa, kung maalala nyo, may 340. So 76 na sa Jeddah na. Tapos another 80 plus tomorrow. Pareho pala via Riyadh. And then yung sa chartered flight, mga more or less 300 yon. So actually, we need to give them time to rest. And then kukunin namin yung profiles nila. There were some workers who told me that they're interested to work elsewhere, not in Sudan. May mga nagsabi naman sa akin na their companies have anong tawag doon, branches in other countries. In fact, specifically, yung isa sabi sa akin, ma'am, pwede bang dumiretso na ako ng Djibouti? Kasi may branch yung company namin doon. Pero sabi nga namin, uwi ka muna, try to spend time with your family, and then pag decided ka na, then we will help you out with the contract and all that.
Simula po nung dumating si Presidente rito sa US, marami na pong meetings with the US companies. Mga ilang na po yung nag-generate pa, o possible na ma-generate na trabaho para sa mga migrant workers natin?
Yung nakausap namin, top employers yon. Ang sabi nung nasa cruise ship industry and labor attaché Seoul will provide you with the names ng mga nakausap ni Presidente. Sabi nila, we now have 150,000 existing employees, which represents 1/3 of their workforce. Collectively, ito yung mga cruise ship companies based in Florida. But they are looking at hiring 75,000 more in the next 3 to 4 years. For the healthcare industry, they are now, yung nandoon lang na nakamit ni Presidente, they have 50,000 nurses and other medical professionals under their employ. But they said that the demand is great, no? The only challenge really is the supply of visas. So limited din yung visas for foreign health professionals. Kaya hindi lang naman din yung problema yung meron tayong deployment cap, kundi maski dito sa US, meron din naman sila ng mga visa supply limitations.
Okay. Next, we have Ivan Mayorina from GMA7.
Ma'am, going into this official working visit, what were your specific objectives as DMW Secretary?
Yes, well, first of all, yung of course to introduce the department to the Filipino community, ano. Kaya ang gusto talaga ni Presidente, every time there's a PhilCom event, nandun kami, and then we spend time with the PhilCom leaders in case they have questions about our programs and services. Second, it's putting together the top American employers and giving them the chance to listen to our president. And they came out of the meeting really inspired, and especially because the president said, you are not just giving jobs to 200,000 workers, you are actually giving opportunities to 200,000 families and 200,000 communities. And doon parang na maganda rin yung naging realization nila about their contribution as employers being recognized by no less than the Philippine President. Third, we had a meeting, that's why I was late. We just had a meeting with several anti-human trafficking organizations based here in the U.S. and we sought their help in the fight against human trafficking. And then I learned that may special visa na pala for domestic workers hired by diplomats and members of international organizations. Ang tawag nila is A3 and G5. And under that visa category, the State Department would invite the foreign domestic workers of diplomats and IO or international organization officials periodically to appear before the State Department so they can check on their work conditions, quality of life, and whether their labor rights are being upheld, no? And so this is something new to us, and we would want to incorporate that in our pre-departure seminar because under the DMW, we can provide employment contracts under a direct hiring scheme for domestic workers as long as their employers are diplomats or members of the international community. So, yun. They also informed us that ano pa ba? PY? The meeting with the basically they are interested to work with us. Yeah, in case we need pro bono lawyers to assist victims of human trafficking in the United States from the Philippines. My third meeting kanina lang, I came from the U.S. State Department. I met with Kelly Rodriguez, who is the Special Representative on International Labor Affairs. And we discussed the need to protect our workers employed in various U.S. military installations outside the Philippines.
Thank you. Okay, Vince Lopez from Manila Standard.
Hello po, Sec. Good afternoon. Balik po tayo dun sa mga Pilipino sa Sudan. Sa almost 600 po ng mga Pilipino na naiulat po ninyo earlier, may datos na po ba kayo kung ilan ang mga undocumented Filipinos na sumama na sa repatriation?
Kasi ang nagbigay ng travel documents nila, ang pwede lang magbigay would be the consular officials. So si Ambassador Tago and si Vice Consul Bohar Kapati, sila yung nag-cross sa Sudan border to be able to give these travel documents. Sa amin naman, doesn't really matter kung documented or undocumented. The department is mandated to assist them. Yung sa Islamic students, meron din kasi mga Islamic students na ang goal, pag-graduate nila ay magtrabaho sa mga madrasas sa BARM. So, ang bilin ni Presidente, dapat kung ano yung kalinga sa OFWs, ganun din ang kalinga sa Islamic students. So we immediately contacted the National Commission on Muslim Filipinos and also the Department of Social Welfare and Development. So yung livelihood package for OFWs, ang magbibigay for the Islamic students would be the SWD, and yung aalalay naman sa students para matapos yung kanilang pag-aaral would be NCMF. Sasalubungin sila pagdating sa airport.
Okay, follow up, Vince.
Ma'am,
Last
follow-up
one.
lang po. Kailan po matatapos ang repatriation po sa mga Filipinos natin in Sudan?
Yung good news is more than half na, no? Marami na tayong na ilipat. Thanks to I'd like to credit talaga yung ating Philippine Embassy in Cairo, Egypt, especially Ambassador Ezedin Tago for all the hard work, no? But may iba na they want to stay on. Yung iba nagbabakasakali pa rin na huhupa yung gulo. Of course, hindi naman natin mapilit sila, no? If that is their personal decision. But if they would ask our advice, the best way really, or the best time for them to leave is now. And we also welcome news that the United Nations will be stepping in soon. Ang panawagan natin, based dun sa nakita ko, based sa mga conversations ko with the evacuees from the civil war, no, mga kababayan natin, there really needs to be humanitarian corridors and safe zones para yung mga gustong makaalis, pwedeng umalis. And then yung mga gusto naman maiwan, may access pa rin sa pagkain, sa gamot, sa tubig, and other basic essentials. So we do hope that the UN will step in and establish these humanitarian corridors and safe zones as soon as possible.
Okay, questions? Wala na? Parting statement, ma'am, if you have any.
Yes, we have met with the US-based employers. The prospects for employment is very bright. They truly appreciate the excellence of the Filipino worker. And they also appreciate the encouraging words of our President. And sabi nga ng ating Pangulo, iba na yung overseas worker ngayon. Dati umaalis dahil kailangan na kailangan kumita. Ngayon, it seems na umaalis din sila because it's how they are designing their life, no? They have options, and a lot of those coming over are really skilled professionals. So, yung sa amin lang, we will continue to live up to our mandate of protecting them and working with the US government then in ensuring that their rights are upheld at all times. Okay?
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Ople. Thank you, Malacanang Press Corps.
My name is John Hamry. I'm the president of the Spirit. That's so typical of the Philippines.
I dare say that in a similar vein, the future of the United States will hold more promise if the U.S. works closely, hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder, in lockstep with the Philippines. Our two countries are drawn to each other because we recognize that in order to achieve our common goal of peace and prosperity for our peoples, we need to work with like-minded partners. It is for this reason that I called for evolving our alliance to make it more responsive to present and emerging challenges. It is because national security is no longer simply about territorial defense. Economic security is national security. The United States consistently ranks amongst our top 3 trading partners and top 10 sources of foreign direct investment. We are proud that many U.S. companies, including those in the Fortune 500, have found a home in the Philippines, and hope that more companies would look to us as they diversify and reconfigure their supply chains. I make this case for forging closer economic ties because creating prosperity and realizing human potential will not only make the Philippines a more reliable alliance partner for the United States, it will also strengthen our democracies. A bilateral partnership that works for our peoples will in turn attract the support that it needs to thrive, creating a mutually reinforcing circle of trust, one that will truly bring our alliance, our partnership, and our friendship into the 21st century.
So my interest in the Philippines has been
The relationship between the Philippines and the United States with an agility that
because you've done such a good job of answering them, but I'll ask
to the quick answer, no.
How do you assess the
Republic of the Philippines, Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Magandang hapon sa inyo lahat. And thank you for this opportunity for me to be able to make my final statement on this trip from the Philippine delegation to the United States that we have just finished. So, seeing as dahil tutuloy nga ako sa UK, sabi ko maaari ito na yung kung baga hindi ako makakapag-arrival statement dun sa Maynila, kaya pagkakataon ko na lang ito na bigay ng statement tungkol nga dito sa nakakatapos lamang na bisita natin sa United States at sa pamahalaan kay President Biden sa pamahalaan ng Estados Unidos. So this brings to an end my official working visit to Washington, D.C. Over the past 4 days, I met with Joe Biden, the President, Vice President Kamala Harris, my counterpart in the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Secretary Tom Vilsack, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, and several other cabinet officials who joined President Biden in our expanded bilateral meetings. Our discussions were very productive. We are of the same mind that our long-standing alliance and partnership must be adapted to address the challenges of our time in order to bring about lasting peace and sustainable prosperity to our countries and to our peoples. The joint statement we issued outlines the key initiatives that we will pursue across all areas of our bilateral engagement to achieve these objectives. I look forward to having our respective teams follow through on the many areas of cooperation that we have identified. This will help advance our key priorities with respect to agriculture and food security, and to promote energy security as we transition to clean energy and boost trade and build resilience of our supply chains, enhancing connectivity and digitalization, also of climate change, mitigation and adaptation. In addition to existing bilateral policy dialogue platforms and working groups, we agreed to institutionalize a ministerial-level study group to advance cooperation on climate-smart agriculture, which I myself will lead. I also met with quite a few U.S. companies, both those looking to further expand their already valuable presence and operations in the Philippines, and those looking to invest in our country for the first time. They are all committed to be part of this development journey that we have embarked upon. We returned to the Philippines with over 1.3 billion US dollars in investment pledges that have the potential to create around 6,700 new jobs for Filipinos within the country. When realized, these investments will support our country's economic recovery efforts and further strengthen the foundations of our economic environment. We expect even more investment that will lead to materialize once these companies firm up their plans. Nevertheless, the interest is a welcome sign of their trust and confidence in the Philippines as an investment destination. Together, we will be working on addressing some of our key economic challenges, particularly food, energy, and health security, digital connectivity, and the cross-cutting issues of climate change and pandemic preparedness. The discussions that we had with the U.S. business community also affirmed the optimism which international investors view the Philippines today. It was with great pride that I received their praises for the talent, ingenuity, work ethic of Filipinos. This has become the main driving force for bringing their investments to our country. We also welcome all the initiatives to expand collaboration with the Philippine government and our universities to support the continued growth of local talent. These, complemented by our game-changing economic reforms, will serve as a firm foundation for an indomitable partnership. My visit would not have been complete without meeting with Filipino community from the U.S. East Coast, as well as some who came all the way from the Caribbean. I thank them for their contributions to the communities in the Philippines and in the United States. They continue to bring honor to our country in the practice of their chosen professions. They continue to bring a shine to the reputation of Philippines and Filipinos with their philanthropic work, especially during calamities and disasters that have touched so many lives. I urge our fellow kababayans here in the East Coast to continue to be our partners in promoting the country for tourism and investments. I then capped my visit with a speaking engagement at the Center of Strategic and International Studies, where I shared my reflections on why I think the Philippines and the United States has been and will continue to be naturally drawn to each other. Beyond our treaty alliance, we are bound by shared values and our commitment to mutual prosperity. I underscored my main message during this visit. The Philippines and the United States will have to forge closer economic ties and ensure that our bilateral partnership works for our people. That will bring a truly important alliance, a truly valuable partnership, and a continuing friendship into the 21st century. Thank you. I think there are a few questions.
Yes, Mr. President. Press corps. First question from Ms. Daphne Galvez of Inquirer.net.
Good evening, Mr. President.
Hi, good evening. Good evening na ba?
After the U.S. and the Philippines finalized its bilateral defense guidelines, China said that the South China Sea should not be used as a hunting ground for forces outside of the region, and it opposed what it called as meddling in the issue to harm China's sovereignty and maritime rights. What can you say about this, sir?
Well, I do not think, as a Filipino and representing the Philippines, I don't feel alluded to. How can anyone say that we are not a party in interest in all of these issues? So I think that kind of statement was directed more towards the United States than it was for the Philippines. I think the Philippines' actions are in continuing to strengthen our capabilities, to continue to find and forge partnerships with the United States, and both in the governmental sector and also with the private corporations that we have spoken to as an important part of what we have been trying to develop in the past almost 1 year. And that is I think, only right and proper because we in the Philippines need to do this if we are going to go forward and find new opportunities for our people. At hindi naman masasabi na walang karapatan ng Pilipinas na gawin lahat yun. Kaya yung statement na yan, sa palagay ko hindi nakadirect sa Pilipinas.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, we have a question from Tina Maralit of Manila Times.
Hey, sir. Good afternoon po. Sir, prior to this trip, you said that you want the Mutual Defense Treaty to evolve. In your sit-down po with President Joe Biden, were there specific provisions of the MDT that you discussed with him? And if so po, what was his reaction?
Again, you have to, if
The specific provisions, prior to this trip, you said that you want the MDT to evolve po. Were you able to mention
we're not
specific?
yet there. What we did in this trip and what we have managed to formulate are the guidelines pa lang doon sa mga magiging provision at saka magiging detalye. But the premise continues to be the same. It's a strengthening of relationship, and the word evolve is one that I have been using, and that other people have seemed to have adopted, because that is exactly what it is that we need to do. We have to evolve, and why? To explain it, is that we need to evolve because the situation that we face is evolving, and when I speak about the evolving situation, I'm not only talking about security and defense. I'm talking about trade. I'm talking about economy. I'm talking about climate change. I'm talking about all the other aspects of our society, of our economy, and even our government that we have to adjust as a response to what changes we are facing. Iba na ang mundo ngayon. Hindi na kagaya kung ano yung mundo natin noong November ng 2019, hindi na natin makikita yon. At talaga namang ayaw natin bumalik doon. Tayo ay tumutungo sa kinabukasan natin. At yun, kailangan natin kilalanin kung ano ang kailangan gawin dito sa bagong sitwasyon. Kaya evolve ang aking ginagamit na salita.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have a question from Rayo Kiyomiya of Shimbun.
Thank you, President. This is Ryo Kiyomiya from the Asahi Shimbun, Japanese newspaper. I have two questions. So first, regarding the tension in the Taiwan Strait, at your meeting with President Biden and your counterparts, what kind of discussion did you have to deter the contingency in Taiwan, and how to react to the Taiwan Strait crisis? And secondly, at the meeting with President Biden, joint statement mentions a trilateral cooperation, including Japan and Australia. So what kind of cooperation do you expect, and what kind of role do you expect Japan to play for the stability and peace in the region?
I expect a developing cooperation. Patuloy ang pagpatibay natin ng ating pagsasama at pagpapartner dito sa iba't ibang bansa na hindi lamang yung mga nakapaligid sa Pilipinas, hindi lamang ang ating karating bansa, kundi pati na ang mga bansa na dati hindi naman natin nakakausap dahil walang pangangailangan na makaroon tayo ng partnership. Kagaya ng pagsagot ko doon sa nakaraang tanong, yun talaga ay nagbago lahat. Kaya kailangan natin ayusin lahat ang ating mga arrangements. We have to fix our arrangements, our alliances, so that they conform to the needs of the day. And that's again, it comes back again to that process of evolution. Because the situation is new, then the solutions have to also be new. And that is why we are now formulating those partnerships between all the different countries, not just Australia, not just the United States, also South Korea, also Japan, all of the ASEAN member states. And I think we can continue to do that. And I know that these countries that I have mentioned are already of the same mind. Pareho ng pag-iisip tungkol sa mga pangangailangan na natin gawin at kung saan ang pinaka makakatulong sa Pilipinas ng mga partnership. Sila rin ay ganyan din ang kanilang pag-iisip. Sila rin ay naghahanap na nga ng mga itong group na magsama-sama upang harapin ang bagong mundo na sabay-sabay. It seems that the message of unity that we were espousing during the campaign is beginning to extend to unity not only in the local situation in the Philippines but also in an international scale. Kaya yun ang naging talumpati ko nung ako'y nagsalita sa UN na kailangan na natin magkaisa, kailangan na tayong magkaintindihan upang makapagtulungan tayo sa isa't isa. So, I think it is not only the Philippines that thinks that way. It's not the only Australia that thinks that way. It's not only the US that thinks that way. I think every country in the world is thinking in those terms. At least most of the countries that have not that have continued to keep open relationships with their partner governments around the world are also of the same mind, and that's why I'm confident that that process will continue and will go from strength to strength.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Marlon Ramos from PDI.
Magandang gabi po, Mr. President.
Yes.
Sir, you just made very interesting remarks during the CSIS forum this afternoon. You said, and I quote, "The syndicates have grown stronger, wealthier, and more influential, worryingly so." This despite what you mentioned, abuses committed by certain elements in the government. Sir, how do you assess the drug war of the previous administration, and how do you intend to go after, to make those people behind those abuses accountable?
I'm in no position to assess the administration of anybody else. That is not proper for me to. That's not a proper role for me to take. But when you ask what we are doing, alam naman ninyo lahat. We formed the commission and I asked for the resignation of all the police officers from Colonel up, so that we can assess and see and study what their records are. Kung sila ba ay kasama sa mga sindikato, kung sila ba ay may kinalaman dito sa patuloy na paglago ng drug problem sa Pilipinas. Kaya yun ang palagay kong unang-una. Dahil hindi mangyayari ito, tignan na lang ninyo ang sitwasyon, ang drug problem sa lahat ng iba't ibang bansa sa buong mundo. Ang mga nagpapatakbo niyan ay hindi yung mga maliliit na tao na nakikita mo sa lansangan na sila mismo nagbebenta o user sila. Hindi naman sila ang nagpapatakbo niyan. Ang nagpapatakbo niyan ay mga matataas na opisyal, kuminsan sa pulis, kuminsan sa gobyerno. So yun ang hinahabol natin. Kaya isinimula natin sa pulis dahil law enforcement sila. Sila ang dapat na nakatutok dito sa problemang ito. Kung hindi gumaganda ang sitwasyon, ibig sabihin hindi nila nagagawa ang trabaho nila. At kaya naman natin ginawa yung ginawa natin upang tanungin, bakit hindi ninyo nagawa ang trabaho ninyo? Baka may kakulangan sa sistema ng pulis, ayusin natin. Baka naman talaga ito ay kasabwat doon sa ating mga tinatawag na drug lord. At kung yung iba, sila mismo ang nagiging drug lord. Kaya yun ang mga hinahabol natin. Kaya yan ang palagay ko, malaking bagay yan. Ngayon, sinasabi na kung magtanggal kahit na ma-identify natin sila, tatanggalin natin, may papalit dyan. Yun ang iiwasan natin. Yun ang binabantayan natin ngayon. So sa kasalukuyan, yung dalawa na sa pulis na nagbigay ng courtesy resignation ay tinanggap na ang resignation. May 30 labis na 30 na under investigation pa rin. Titignan natin kung sila ba ay dapat kasuhan, kung sila ba ay kailangan suspindihin, kung ano man. Dahil kung meron man silang kinalaman sa mga drug syndicate, iba-ibang involvement. Meron yung pinababayaan lang, look the other way. Ika nga. They just look the other way. Ano yung magiging parusa para dyan? As opposed to, yun talagang pinapalakad, yung mga opisyal, pinapalakad yung mga tropa nila para tulungan ang drug syndicate. Iba naman siguro ang sitwasyon na yun. Kaya yun ang pinag-aaralan natin para naman, karamihan naman, marami naman sa pulis, wala namang involvement dyan ay mababait at talagang nagsisipag upang matuklasan at mabuo ang mga kaso na hinahawakan nila. Kaya kailangan natin maging maingat din na hindi natin hahabulin yung mga walang kinalaman. Kaya kailangan natin pag-aralan kung sino ba talaga ang dapat imbestigahan, kung sino ba talaga ang dapat parusahan.
Salamat po.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Last question from Mark Fetalco of PTV4.
Good evening, sir. Maybe know po kung anong oras po kayo tutungo sa United Kingdom for King Charles' coronation? And secondly, where do you see the Philippine-UK relations under King Charles' reign? And ano po yung nakikita nating benefits po nito? At lastly, tatanggapin po ba natin yung imbitasyon po ni Prime Minister Rishi Sunak na makipagdialogo po sa inyo?
Well, alis ako mamaya. In a few hours, in 2 hours. Alis na ako in a while para makatungo, para darating ako, magla-landing ako sa Gatwick. Dahil, ang dahilan kung bakit sa Gatwick ako maglaland, usually, hindi sa Gatwick ang pinupuntahan. Ngunit ngayon ay pupuntahan ko yung Gatwick dahil titignan ko yung operation ng kanilang airport. Kung bagay ba ito, yung mga lessons learned nila, yung mga ginagawa nila, kung best practices yan na pwede nating dalhin sa Pilipinas. At isa sa pinakamalaking dahilan kung bakit ako pupunta ay kilala namin si Prince Charles pa ang pagkakilala ko sa kanya. At kaming lahat nung namatay nga si Queen Elizabeth, ay hindi ako nakapunta at ang pinadala ko ang kapatid ko na si Irene, kilala rin ni Prince Charles. Kaya sabi ko naman, ay palagay ko dahil magkakilala kami, dapat naman napakalaking bagay na siya'y kukoronahan bilang hari ng United Kingdom, ay dapat makapag-attend na ako. At the UK is a constitutional monarchy. So, in terms of foreign policy, may input ang royal family, pero hindi galing doon. It will be the foreign ministry that will determine what our relationship with the UK is. And I think that is constant right now. And patuloy lang naman, we trade and we continue to help ang ating mga Filipino nationals na nandun sa UK. At yun lang siguro ang mga concern natin. Ngunit titignan natin, kaya makikipagkita ako sa kanilang bagong Prime Minister Silnag, upang makapag-usap kami kung meron bang pagbabago sa kanyang pag-iisip sa pagpartner ng UK at saka ng Pilipinas. Sa palagay ko ay ganun din ang sasabihin niya na dapat papatibayin natin at hirap na hirap ang ekonomiya ng UK. So baka isang bagay yun na pag-uusapan namin kung paano mag-trade o kung paano dagdagan, isa sa lahat, I'm sure, babanggitin niya kung pwedeng makakuha ng healthcare workers galing Pilipinas, dadalhin sa UK. Dahil alam mong nangyari, nung pandemic, sumikat talaga ng husto ang healthcare workers na Pilipino at Pilipina. At kaya't lahat ng lahat ng bansa ay umaasa at nagtatanong kung pwede ba ay paramihin natin ng mga healthcare workers na pupunta. So isang bagay yun. But I think in general, we will maintain the same relationship. It has been a relationship very advantageous to all parties involved. So I think that we will stay the course and continue to deal with each other in a very similar way that we have done before.
Sir, hindi mo po kung kailan po yung schedule meeting natin with Prime Minister Silnag?
On the sidelines lang. Dahil kung titignan nyo yung schedule, pagdating ko doon, may reception sa palasyo, sa Buckingham Palace. The next day is the coronation. Pagkatapos ng coronation, alis na ako, babalik na ako ng Maynila. Kahit wala halos oras. So, may mga proposal, makikipag-usap ako, siyempre sa Prime Minister Silnag. Pero habang siguro nag-aantay dun sa actual na seremonya ng pag-coronation sa King Charles. So ganun na lang. It has to be very casual dahil everybody has followed a very heavy schedule of the coronation. Meron din mga request ng ibang leaders na mga gusto makipag-usap sa akin, pero ganun din, puro ganun. Ang tawag nila, ginagawa na lang natin, pagka may pagkakataon, ay halika, usap tayo. Siguro, and that's what's going to happen siguro this time again. Because I cannot see any window of time in the schedule kung saan pwedeng mag-sit down, mag-usap, to exchange notes, etc. etc. So very casual lang ito, very informal. Pero wag natin mamaliitin yung mga ganyang klaseng meeting dahil kung minsan yung hindi mo inaakalain mangyayari, may nangyayari na napaka-importante pala. Kaya siyempre open tayo lagi na makipag-usap sa lahat. At baka naman sakali meron tayong makita pagkakataon na makatulong sa Pilipinas.
Thank you, Mr. President, and congratulations.
Maraming salamat sa inyo lahat. Thank you very much and see you in Manila, Philippines.